Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We've got our list, and we are gonna first find businesses that we find interesting to us, and then we're gonna kind of reverse engineer that to find the people that work at those businesses, either on their contact page or on LinkedIn, and then we're gonna kind of use those channels to get at them. Here's the thing, not everyone's going to respond to you, and that's okay. Notes for getting people to respond to you is to do actual research. Like, don't be creepy, but people like it when you know shit about them. So if you can start off an email and say, hey, I found your career really interesting. I see that you have worked at these 3 places. I find that really interesting. You've had these 3 roles. I have, a couple of questions for you. Maybe list examples of your questions that I would like to sit down and talk with you about. I'm going to be requesting that they do a podcast with me. So I've got a little bit bigger of an ask, I would argue. You are probably going to be asking for an informational interview. You can offer to buy them coffee. You can offer to buy them lunch. Hey, can you meet me for coffee? Can you meet me for lunch? Digital ones are really common these days, so also don't be afraid to reach out to someone who's physically very far away from you. If their job or their thing can be replicated in whatever it is that, like in whatever market you're in. Like notes on that would be, if you live in Idaho and you want to be an oceanographer, but you have no plans to move out of Idaho, you're gonna have to figure something else out. Like, you can interview every single oceanographer in California, in Hawaii, in Australia, in wherever they are, right? And they're all gonna say, like, you have to physically be there. Whereas, like, if I'm looking at a summer camp, which is what I'm about to do, there's summer camps everywhere in the U.S. So I could talk to somebody from Colorado. There might be a little nuanced differences, but for the most part, I'm still gonna be able to learn just as much as if I talk to someone who runs a summer camp where I'm from. So that's what we're going to start out with. So we've got summer camps in the Twin Cities. We're going to try to find a couple that we like. Oh, they have a typical day. That's cool. So I can look and see typical day for a summer counselor. Okay, so if I wanted to be a counselor, this would be a great resource. We're looking for leadership. We're looking for their director. We're looking for their director because I don't want to be a camp counselor, but I would maybe want to run a camp. Okay, so we're not really finding much on like leadership. So we could have a blog that we could call them. We could contact their support. All these blogs look like from or by Steve Purdom. So something tells me that Steve Purdom is in charge of this place. So let's find Steve on LinkedIn. See if we can find him. Steve Purdom, owner and director, Camp Mishawaka, committed to something, to helping kids find their best selves. Okay. So we can message Steve to connect with him. Add a note. We want to add a note. We don't always need to add a note. This situation, we're going to add a note. I have no mutuals with Steve. Steve has no idea who I am. So we're going to say, we have 200 characters to get our point across. Steve, I am interested in a career in the summer camp industry. I'm hoping you'd be able to take some time and talk me through your experiences in the industry. Cool. Send. Chances are you're going to have to send more than one outbound requests for each thing you're trying to do. Some are going to be harder than others. My guess is Steve probably doesn't use LinkedIn because he's a summer camp director. Maybe he does. I don't know. He might be too busy. It's September, so summer camp I think is over, but maybe they've got fall programming, whatever it might be. Whatever. Maybe Steve just doesn't want to talk to me. That's fine. You just have to keep going. You just have to keep finding somebody. Some industries are going to be harder to get into than others. My guess is like summer camp, I don't know, this guy doesn't probably have any secrets. He's probably not like, oh, you're going to steal all my ideas and start a summer camp that's going to compete with mine. Steve is smart enough to know that that's not going to happen. Some industries might be more difficult. Like we've got sports and entertainment next. Okay, if I'm trying to talk to the CEO of the Minnesota Twins, probably going to be a challenge, right? And do I want to talk to him? I don't know. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. So that's something to consider, is that some of these people are going to be harder to get to than others. You might not ever get to the Minnesota Twins CEO, but you might get to the COO. You might get to a VP of sales. You might get, there's still other ways that you can get there. And don't give up. Like, hey, maybe I don't get the Twins, but the Saints are our like local, I'm going to call it AAA team. Like, I could probably get a hold of somebody from there. So there's a million different ways to get to people who you want to talk to. And not all of them are going to want to talk to you, and that's okay. You just have to keep going. You just have to keep asking. And don't be afraid to ask. And just say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. You're asking them to talk about themselves. 9 times out of 10, people want to talk about themselves. They want to have that conversation. They like to share their journey. And they like to talk to young people. But even if you're not young, like it's still worth having a conversation or trying to have a conversation with that person just to get as much advice as you can from them. So we're going to keep rolling down the list. We're going to send invites. We'll maybe go through some other tips and tricks for some of these people and see what else we can do. But that's where you're going to start. That's I guess we're on step number 3. I don't know. Day 2? Day 2, step 3? I don't know. We'll find out.